This is incredible! I never imagined it could be worth so much!
The craftsmanship and the glazework are exceptional, suggesting a late 19th century origin, possibly from a notable pottery studio.
Let's be honest, who hasn't made a snap purchase at a flea market or an antiques fair, only to get it home and feel that sinking stomach drop of buyer's remorse? You see something, you think it's special, you hand over the cash, and by the time it's sitting on your kitchen counter, you realize you've bought a fake, a piece of junk. You feel a bit foolish, and the offending item gets shoved into a cupboard, or worse, banished to the dark, forgotten land under the sink. For one guest on a recent, unforgettable episode of Antiques Roadshow, that's exactly what happened. But his story didn't end with regret and a bottle of bleach. It ended with a collective gasp from the entire crowd and a valuation that was, quite frankly, eye-watering. This is the story of the 20 pounds mistake that turned out to be a masterpiece. The fake in the cupboard. The scene was set at Lister Park and Cartwright Hall, where the Antiques Roadshow team was sorting through the public's hopeful treasures. A gentleman approached the tables with a vase. It was striking, certainly, with a deep, iridescent glow, but the story he told was one of complete disappointment. He explained to expert Stephen Moore that he bought the item at an antiques fair. He had a hunch, a flash of inspiration, thinking it might be a piece of Royal Lancaster pottery. He paid £20 for it, a modest gamble. But when he got it home, his confidence crumbled. He looked it over, and the more he looked, the more he convinced himself it was a fake copy. It didn't look right. He felt like he'd been had. So, where do you put a 20 pounds mistake that you don't want to look at anymore? For 2 long years, this beautiful glowing vase was kept under the sink. Can you just picture it? Shoved in the darkness behind the U-bend, next to the J-cloths and the emergency plumber's number. It's almost painful to imagine. It gathered dust, completely dismissed as worthless clutter, while its owner went about his life, oblivious to the secret it held. The late-night internet discovery. Then, one random night, everything changed. As the guest explained, he was doing what so many of us do, just browsing the internet, falling down a rabbit hole of images and articles. And then, he froze. I happened to be looking on the internet one night, he told the expert, and out pops that vase. It wasn't just a similar one. It was his vase. His fake. His under-the-sink cast-off. He leaned in closer, his heart likely hammering in his chest. I was like, hang on a minute, that's the vase that's under the sink. The internet provided a new, exciting name, Szalné, which I believe is Hungarian, he added. Suddenly, the 20 pounds gamble didn't seem so foolish. He rescued the vase from its cleaning supply prison, dusted it off, and decided it was time to get a professional opinion. I'm almost lost for words. He brought it to the right man. Expert Stephen Moore didn't just see a vase, he saw a star. His reaction was immediate and emotional. I'm almost lost for words, Stephen breathed, turning the piece over in his hands, because it is just glowing. This wasn't just approval, this was pure, unadulterated awe. Stephen's eyes lit up as he began to unpack exactly what this gentleman had been hiding under his sink. It is Szalné, he confirmed, from Pécs in Hungary, and it is the most brilliant example of their work. Stephen then gave a passionate lesson on what made this piece so extraordinary. At the turn of the 19th into the 20th century, he explained, they developed what were called eosin glazes. He pointed to the shimmering, otherworldly finish. So this lovely ruby luster, this sort of gold luster, these were incredibly difficult to fire in the kiln. That difficulty is key. It means that for every piece that survived the intense heat, many others would have cracked, failed, or been destroyed. This vase wasn't just beautiful, it was a survivor. It was a technical marvel of its time. But it wasn't just a technical object, it was art. When you turn it round, Stephen said, gently rotating the vase for the cameras, here, we've got the rising sun. We have this path with these geese. It is a work of art, this is as good as any painting. He was completely mesmerized. This is magic, he declared. This is the most beautiful vase. The big reveal, you can add a few knots to that. Now came the moment. The expert was in love, the guest was holding his breath, and the crowd was leaning in. Stephen set the final piece of the puzzle. Szalné is red hot right now, he stated, adding a fascinating piece of market insight. Hungarian people are buying it back. There's a powerful trend in the antiques world known as heritage buying, where a country's wealthy collectors begin to passionately reclaim their own history, driving prices sky high. This vase wasn't just an old pot, it was a piece of Hungarian heritage.